And we're back with another episode of the AC Milan Zone podcast. We've been away, of course, a little hiatus after the international break, but we're back. We're joined again by Ozzy, the most Swedish member of the AC Milan Zone crew. Welcome back, Ozzy.
That's a good fact that you brought up. It's nice to be back, Stefano.
We're back. Normally, I feel like we would be fairly jolly saying, hey, look, we need to talk about two games today. One was a draw against a big team, and the other one was a Champions League win. Happy days. But I don't know about you, but it's pretty dark outlook on the club at the moment. What do you think in general before we dive into the individual game about just the vibes at Milan?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Top class in the Serie A. Got a point out of that. 3 points in the Champions League. Great. But to be honest, yeah, it's sort of this dark cloud hanging over the whole club. Vibes aren't great. Performance wise, yeah, we're getting some points in, but end of the day, I'm not feeling very confident for any of the for the next game, which would be against Empoli. It can be so hit and miss with our AC Milan team at the moment. So you're right in saying that there's a sort of a dark cloud, or rather, sort of it's feeling a bit dark around the whole team.
Yeah, just seems like you're spot on. We're not building up to a lot. There's not a lot of improvement, and there's a lot of problems, a lot of same problems that we've been having since the beginning of the season, and maybe even earlier. Um, then maybe let's start with each game. We have the Juve game on the screen. I'll scroll down to the FootMob rankings of the players. This was a whole bunch of nothing, pretty much. One of the worst. I was gonna say big games in terms of the teams playing in Serie A that I've ever seen, and maybe one of the worst Serie A games I've ever seen. I think technically there were two shots on target, one for each team, but one for Juve was a Gatti long shot out of all people. That was absolutely not a problem, and the one from us was a Theo Hernandez header in the 95th minute that you know didn't even was on the ground, and again was not a problem. Both teams too afraid to lose to even try anything. Both teams created nothing. Incredibly boring game. Juve could maybe have a few more excuses in terms of being away from home, missing a lot of their players. Of course, they didn't have any strikers at all. With Vlahovic out, Cop Miners was playing this sort of false nine role that obviously does not fit him. Missing a lot of players in the back, of course, for them as well. While I don't know, we didn't have many excuses. It looked like we were just more worried about losing and conceding goals. And we decided, hey, let's not attack. We found out shortly before the game that Pulisic came back from the national team with an injury, wasn't going to be able to play. You think maybe it's time for Chuk, maybe it's time for Okafor. We have some offensive options. Instead, we opted out with Musa. So we had Musa, Loftus-Cheek, Fofana, Reinders on at the same time. And we succeeded in creating nothing. Um, for me, yes, it was obviously a very boring game, very disappointing. Also because it's not that we're in a battle. We're close to all the other Magic 7 teams in the Serie A at the moment, and we're like, okay, let's not lose. Let's let everyone else make mistakes. We're way behind. We're the ones that at home should try to, get a big win against Juve, against a Juve that's missing a lot of players. So it was a pretty disappointing outlook for me, and a pretty disappointing way to set up for Fonseca. But what did you think? Do you think it maybe makes sense, seeing as we concede a lot, for him to go so defensive or so passive?
I mean, yeah, I guess the only bright spot is that we didn't concede. Now we're playing against a Juve that, uh, at least in the Serie A, has had quite a few 0-0 games, and we know that they love a clean sheet, and defensively, they've been a bit shaky since the Bremer injury, but I guess sort of caught up with that now. And you're right, it seemed like both teams were playing for a draw or 0-0, and it's surprising considering Fonseca has we have been scoring a fair amount of goals and been wide open at the back. So I guess the only positive is that we didn't concede. But at the same time, just like you said, it was an injury decimated Juventus. They were playing Cup Miners as a false nine. I don't think he never plays as a false nine, right? So disappointed that we didn't take advantage of that somehow. Uh, Completely agree with you. That is one of the worst Serie A games I've ever seen. Um, so disappointing. And you get these sometimes these Premier League Twitter fans will watch one or two Serie A games a season, and then they probably tune into this one and they all say, "Oh, look how terrible the Serie A is." And I mean, I can agree with them that this game was terrible, and but Serie A is usually very exciting. And in the past few years, we've actually had some good battles against Juventus. There was that dire. I can't remember exactly how many games it was, but in our banter era, we never stood a chance against Juventus, both because we were a poor team and they were actually a quality team. But now it's evened out, and these games used to be very open, and this game was just, yeah, like you said, one shot on target each, and from two defenders in both respective teams. So
Yeah.
positive that Fonseca got a clean sheet, but disappointing that I mean, yeah, we weren't set up to create anything going forward, and Rubens Lofton's Cheek having him in the team starting is making me lose my mind, to be honest. I really don't like watching him play, and every time we do start with him, it's always been a poor Milan performance.
Yeah, there I absolutely agree. You're preaching to the choir here. It always feels like, um, yeah, it always feels like playing with a man less because he doesn't
Yeah,
provide a lot going forward, and going back, he's always too far forward to do anything, and just yeah, he doesn't press. His version of pressing is really walking up and then standing 1 meter in front of the opponent. He never goes for a tackle. Even when we're set, and you absolutely can. Even if you get dribbled, you're fine, which is maddening. I did think that specifically within that game when we were set up with a more 4-4-2, when he was more in midfield, he looked a little bit better, which is why it's so upsetting that we keep playing more of a 4-2-3-1. Not in this game because again we have so many midfielders, but in general than a proper
yeah, and
4-3-3. We concede so much. We're so exposed. Fofana and Reinders are doing the job of four people, and we have a cam, which is never a cam unless it's Pulisic, who doesn't do great there. We try different people. We try Loftus Cheek, who's not a cam, forced to play a cam. Just put him back, put Fofana in the middle. Let Reinders also have a chance to go forward, and let the other, like a normal 4-3-3 with two mezzalas that can sort of play off each other. What I thought was also shocking in this game is just how little we changed. It took 70 minutes to make the first change, and that was when Pulisic came in. I thought we looked a lot
yeah.
better and lively when he came in. He's just so important to us. It's hard to blame Leao. I thought a lot of people didn't do much. I thought he tried to do a little bit, but it was also crazy because our right side offered nothing. Nothing. We had just Emerson Royal and Musa. And so you could see that there was so much space, but there was no threat. So Juve
Yeah.
wasn't covering it. So Leao was getting triple teamed instead of double teamed. And then in the 84th minute, we had finally Chukwueze come in, Calabria for Emerson Royal, and Gabbia came out, who wasn't feeling great. Chukwueze
And
came in
and
way
and
too late
and
for me. Go for it.
And just imagine, Rubens Loftus-Cheek, he's not producing for us. He's like you say, it feels like we play with 10 men every time he plays. Imagine if we'd not just let go of Yacine Adli this season.
Yeah, who's doing great at Fiorentina. Yeah, imagine if the words of Maldini, who said, we didn't give Charles de Catellare a 5-month contract, we gave him a 5-year contract. If imagine if that money was spent a little bit better,
Yep.
and we didn't try to just cut our losses and kept him, a big body, actually can play cam. And look, I wasn't even the biggest fan of him. I thought, hey, look, he looks like he's choking under the pressure of San Siro. I think that maybe doesn't go away. I think if he comes back, he might also still. But I refuse to believe that Charles de Keselare right now wouldn't do better than Ruben Loftus-Cheek
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
moment. I thought Chukwueze could come in a little earlier. Now he came in and had an absolutely shocking 6 minutes of football. He was absolutely dreadful. I think he gave the ball to Juve almost every touch he had. But it's also tough to come in a game like that with 5 minutes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not an excuse in saying that Milan would have won had the pitch been good, but the pitch did look also quite rough. I don't know. It seemed the ball possession was certainly a theme for both teams in this game,
Hmm.
especially in midfield. I don't know, it was sort of bubbling up and wasn't gathering any pace. It was strange. It's getting into that period at the San Siro where there's a lot of games coming thick and fast, getting colder, etc. So
Yeah, a lot
not
of
looking
rain.
forward to that.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
next up until,
Always gonna be
let's
pretty
say,
bad.
March.
But yeah, I think expected goals of 0.29 for Milan and 0.45 for Juve.
Christ.
Just a bad shame for Italian football. A very different display from the craziness of the 4-4 that Juve had with Inter, for example.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was also hilarious because on top of just being bad and both teams not even trying to play football or attacking football, there was also just a lot of simple mistakes, which I think is conducive to playing that sort of football. You don't get in a flow. So a lot of just like missed bad touches, bad simple passes, and that type of stuff. Um,
Almost
before
Sunday league.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. And we'll get more into Sunday League because I think there was a lot of our Champions League game. Before we move on to that, though, I want to get your opinion because I'm getting also frustrated with Morata. Not necessarily Alvaro himself. He doesn't get touches in the box, so I'll wait to be upset at Morata himself when he misses chances. Right now, he's just not getting them. So yeah, it's hard to be upset at him. But there's always a lot of like, yeah, of course he did, but he does so much dirty work and he comes back. And yeah, okay, but anyone can do that. Like then put Camarda in. I'm sure he'll run. He'll run for days. If we're not gonna be able to create chances, I'd rather play with a false nine. Put Pulisic false nine up there and put another midfielder that can actually build up.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
three
because
players that had the most touches for us in this game were Gabbia, Chao, Magnan in that order.
Christ, yeah. No, and I completely agree with you that. I mean, it's not like you say. It's not really it's not really Morata's fault. He's being used as a false nine and chasing people down. But even when he did get the ball quite deep, he just, I don't know. He just doesn't seem to have that spring in his step where he can get the ball out of his feet and find space. It always feels a
Yeah,
bit dragged. He gets caught up, and
heavy.
he is a master at getting winning free kicks.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm
that guy
also not liking
must
though.
train
Though
that.
he's been
Yeah,
diving
no,
too much for my
yeah,
standards.
yeah, no. So I agree with that. He's been diving, but then again, football has changed, and I'm not justifying it. But he wins these free kicks, but it's a result of him just being sort of slow and not having that touch that you think a Spanish number nine would have. Um, yeah, I thought he had a really poor game,
Yeah. What
and
kills me also is totally on that same line is that it really makes me miss Giroud because I don't think Morata is a terrible passer like like an Inzaghi where he's there just to put it away. But it almost feels like he misses a lot of simple passes. Sometimes he doesn't even look for them. Giroud was able to come in midfield and try. Sometimes it was the back heel that went to nowhere. Okay, whatever, sure. But he could do a 1-2. He could look into space. And Morata doesn't seem to be doing that. I mean, almost Tammy looks better at doing that from time to time. Now,
yeah,
obviously, against Slovan Bratislava is a different game than against Juve. But yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. And at that point, it's like, hey, if we can't build chances to give to this man, play with an extra midfielder. Play Pulisic Leao up top, fake 4-4-2, and put an extra midfielder so we don't concede. Because what's the point? If anyway, Gabbia and Chao are gonna have mostly of the ball, and we can't even get it to our two midfielders because they're being overloaded in midfield. Then put something else. It's driving me crazy. I can't watch games like that where we don't even try stuff.
yeah,
It's
and
maddening.
Giroud knew his limits. Of course, he had a good touch and
True,
everything, but he wasn't this great dribbler, and
true.
he would never necessarily, turn a defender and run, or turn a midfielder and run straight at the back four. So he knew his limits, and he wouldn't come all as deep as Morata does now. But yeah, he'd do the 1-2, the occasional flick, and that sometimes would get on my nerves. But it would pay off once every 8 touches, in a way. Finding that space for Liao or a Reinders, or, well, not Fofana because he came this, but you know what I mean. Our other centre midfielder would come with pace and collect the ball and start running, sprinting at the back four. So yeah, something needs to change, because I was a fan of it in the beginning because Alvaro Morata did have that energy, but now it just seems to be going down. And I don't know how many goals has Tammy and Morata put up together. Less than, was it, like 6 or 7 in total max? And that's with the Tammy Abraham penalty against
Yeah,
Venezia. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
not
Has
sure.
to be has
So
to be something like that.
the lack of goals from our number nines is showing, especially when we benched Leao for 3 games and Pulisic has been carrying our attack completely by himself for those games. And we just need a functioning number nine, and we've got three of them that are just so meh. They're so mediocre. Although, I mean, I say that we'll move on to the Slovan Bratislava game. I thought Tammy had a pretty good game, at least. You could say that he was involved in all three goals for us. So
Yeah,
we'll
I
get on
thought
to
I
that
thought it
later.
wasn't bad. Agreed. I think we can move on. Yeah, I don't know. My opinion about Tammy kind of flip flops a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, this game, yes. I mean, this is why I thought your comment about being Sunday League was kind of perfect. This felt like Fonseca absolutely does nothing in training, or people don't listen to him at all, because we played like this didn't make any sense. We went on, started creating some chances, score early, which is the difficult part in this kind of matches, right? Because you know what they're gonna do, which is what they were trying to do the whole time: defend very deep, allow us
Hmm.
to expose ourselves way too much, which we do because we can't attack, and so we need to bring 9, 10 players up, and so it's always 1-on-1 and then counter. They almost score, which they should have. Pavlovic with a great sort of save comes in handy. And then we score. We actually managed to go through a good combination, as you said, with Tammy, who found Pulisic in space, who puts it away. Thank you again, Captain
Yep.
America. Now, this is supposed to be easy. Now we can control the
Yeah.
pace,
Plain,
let him come
plain
forward a little
sailing.
bit, not
Exactly.
attack with our whole team, not overload, and pick our spots. Instead, uh, 3 minutes later, on a corner, everyone's up. We lose the ball. Calabria sprints at the man with the ball instead of sprinting back. Chukwueze isn't even bothered to run backwards. We never run backwards. I was watching Inter the day after. When that ball is even when they're attacking, when that ball is lost, immediately everyone's running back. Running backwards is the point of emphasis. And sometimes they defend and park the bus, and sometimes they can go up, and they're very synchronized and know, probably because they listen to their actual freaking manager. They know when to pick their spots and be like, okay, yeah, now we attack a lot as a unit, and now we defend a lot as a unit. I mean, to concede that 1-1 goal is one of the most ridiculous things on earth. You're up off a corner.
Yeah, and
I mean, Sunday
and
League.
it's Fonseca setting up the team to be like that. Surely, with you're supposed to have usually a defender at the almost at the halfway line, and that also depends on obviously how the opposition puts up. They usually have a striker in the by the center circle, and you have one behind, one in front. That's just a sort of 101 football. But this case, maybe I don't think they did. They almost had all 11 players, at least 10 of them in the box and one just outside it. But it was just so silly to concede a goal like that. And I agree with you completely on the point with the motivation levels of wanting to track back. And I think we've been saying it for quite a lot of podcasts. It's a mentality, and that's what makes. Of course, they've got on paper, or they have a very strong squad, right? But it's also the mentality of wanting to track back, chasing back, wanting to win the ball back when they've lost it, and that's a winner mentality that just hasn't really set in this team for God knows what reason. If it's lack of trust with Fonseca, yeah, sure. If we look at the players that we have, yeah, maybe it's a lack. I'm not sure. We've got quite a lot of skillful players, but not when it comes to mindset, and that really needs to change. And it's been our flaw the entire season. It's the mentality of maybe not wanting to win, but at least trying and leaving 110% on the pitch. And
Yeah,
to be honest, you
and
can say you can say it's Fofana, Reinders, Pulisic. Those are the three players that I would say really leave, and Alvaro Morata, because he does seem to want to chase the ball there as our false nine. But other than that, it's nobody. I mean, we'll get on to the second goal they conceded. If you look at Chukwueze, I'm not sure if you noticed Chukwueze's reaction there.
mm-hmm.
Um, when sure it's supposed to be a free kick for us, but in all ages, when you're a kid, you're taught that you play until the whistle's blown, and he's just flailing up with his hands in the air and just almost walking, jogging back. when the player with the ball is about 2-3 meters away, and that's a mentality issue.
Yeah, agreed. And same with, I mean, in the goal, if you take the goal, the players are two players that are most forward, even above Chukwueze and Leao, are Theo and Emerson Royal. How does that make sense? And look, I understand this is supposed to be a game. You know, they've been the joke of no disrespect to them. I thought they even played well, but they've been the worst team. That's a fact in the Champions League. They were 0 points, still are, and negative 13 now 14 goal difference. This is a game where you go and you try to score 5 goals because you know in this new format that you're going to be tied with a lot of teams, and the goal difference will determine if maybe you're in the top 8 or maybe you're 9, 10, 11. So
Yeah.
I understand the logic, but in a game where we struggled to do anything, we created with Pulisic, and then until the Leao goal, we had no shots on target. We were not able to do anything. Again, just like last game, Pavlovic, Tomori, Magnan were our players with their 3 more touches. It's the 89th minute. Do we need... We're up 3-1. Do we need both our fullbacks to be in their
Yeah.
box?
Yeah. No, you're right.
And that's like I've been in those games when you play 5 aside and you're in university and you're just messing around and this is the last thing and everyone goes forward and then you get caught. It's literally Sunday league. It's gross. And then that mentality, you're right. I think the only time we've shown it is the only decent games we played where we fought and ran back and had the right mentality, which was the derby and the game against Madrid.
Yeah.
But that's clearly self-motivation from the players because, hey, Champions League anthem at the Bernabeu wakes you up. Hey, playing a derby when you've lost 6 in a row, it wakes you up. But it's done. We saw it. We say, hey, maybe this is the beginning of something. But it's clearly all internal from the players. It's clearly that Fonseca has very little to say to that dressing room because they come the next game and they're all like, yeah, okay, I guess we're here. We're Milan now. Okay, Cagliari will take care of it. We'll go up twice against Cagliari and then still not bring 3 points home. It's bad, and I don't think it has shown zero signs of getting better. Fonseca's handled it clearly not well. He's also left alone from management a lot, so it's kind of a little bit. His hands are a little tied, but his first test were to bench our best players, and that I still think is not done well for the team overall.
I think he came out and said that, sort of praising himself almost, that the reaction of this is the reaction I wanted. I mean, bruh, Liao was always this good. I don't know, maybe the goals weren't coming, but Liao was always there. It's not that benching him for 3 straight games is
Yeah,
the
has
reason why
Leao
Liao's
done
playing
anything a
well.
little different? No, he continues to play the way he has. He tracks back a little bit, but it's not like we've seen, wow, new Leao, this is the Leao we want. Like, no, we just weren't seeing
Yeah.
Leao before because you benched him. Like, but nothing
Yeah,
has
and,
actually
and
changed.
it would make a lot more sense if he did the same thing, let's say, with Chukwueze, who's been very up and down in performances. Benching him. I mean, he has been benched and in rotation for us, but if he benches Chukwueze for 3 games, so does not play him a single minute, and then he's like, you know what, now I believe in you. This is a fresh start for you. And then Chukwueze comes in and produces well. Then he can be like, yeah, you know what, Fonseca, I praise you because he has been pretty dog shit at times for us, and benching him for 3 straight games has worked because now there's a fire in his belly. He's producing, but not a Leao. Come on now.
Yeah, and also, I mean, other than the Udinese game where we actually kept him out the whole time and we barely won, it's never worked out. We've always sucked, and then he's always put him on in the second half, which is not like it's not a victory on you from your side of being like, yeah, we don't need you, told you so. It's worse. It's the opposite, and we saw it
Yeah.
again this game where we were nothing, and then you had to put him on and try to play football. And what are we rotating and resting for? We suck. The Champions League is the only good thing that we have right now. We actually somehow are in a great spot. We have very easy, quote unquote, winnable games. We could somehow go in the top 8 if we play our cards right. We might not even finish top 4 in the league. What are we rotating for? Put your best player. You want to rest Leao, start him, get 4 goals ahead, and then put Camarda in. To me, it makes no sense. So it's a victory, but it did not feel like a victory to me.
Yep.
Defensively, just bad. It's not even about the players. Like, I don't think anyone had a terrible performance. It's just, Yeah, we have no system. Everyone, it's Sunday league, so it's just the madness of putting random players. We continue this random carousel of the center backs, which we'll get to in a
Yeah.
second as we speak about Empoli. It makes no sense to me. I understand if you were like, hey, look, I like a certain profile with a certain profile. I like playing Tomori not next to Emerson Royal for whatever reason, or I like playing, Pavlovic only on the left, so then he has to play with someone else. But then at least have two sort of couples. You cannot convince me that it helps that we are always playing, that no center back has played more than two games with another one, and we just keep rotating. It's just not conducive to building chemistry, to working together as a line. It's just bad. A lot of offside. Building even that chemistry to get on a team and a striker offside. It's just I don't understand. There's so many things that I don't understand. It's it's so infuriating. And it looks like with Empoli, we might see, again Tomori not in. Apparently, he's only a Champions League center back right now. Um, with Gabbia, you said Gabbia and Chow,
Yeah,
the
that's what
reports.
I just saw. Yeah, I saw a tweet of a picture of Sky Sports on the TV saying that Gabia and Chow were going to start.
Yeah, I don't really see it. And it's double upsetting because again, conceding that stupid late goal like already matters. Of course, there's still plenty of games to play in the Champions League, and we'll see. But right now, the difference between 16th, which is where we are, and 13th is goal difference because it's Bayern, Benfica, Atletico, and us all at 9 goals. Um,
Oh
and
yeah, because Bayern scored was it 7 goals in a game? Was
yeah,
it against
yeah,
Slovan Bratislava even? I can't remember, but yeah.
yes, I think so.
No,
Yes,
yeah, you're right, and yeah, they Slovan Bratislava doubled their history Champions League goals because they've only scored 2 this season, and
yeah,
I don't know if they've ever been in the Champions League
no,
before, and they
no.
doubled that against us, which is just crazy. And we are complaining we got the 3 points, but you're right, like the mentality again wasn't there, just like against Juve, kind of. Um, it's gonna be the end of us
Yeah, when you read between
if
the
something
lines and
isn't
you actually
shaking.
look at the game rather than just scores or something, you see that we didn't build much. The third goal, they absolutely gifted us. Otherwise, we would have been in really big trouble. The second goal was a nice pass for Fofana. Fofana and Reinders, again, the only ones that tried to verticalize a little bit, and a good finish by Leao, despite maybe
Yeah.
not a great touch. But you don't watch either of those two games, being the Bratislava one and the Juve one, and say, okay, I can see a little bit something. We're building something, or we're a little bit more stable at the back. Like against Juve, we didn't concede, but it's because we defended with everyone we had, and Juve didn't have a striker. Against Slovan, yeah, we scored 3, but gifted, and we created so little. We struggled so much. It's just there's just not a lot of good
Yeah,
takeaways.
and even watching back the highlights on AC Milan's YouTube page, when obviously it's Suma commentating when they scored their second goal, even Suma, like I've heard him get angry at referees and whatever, but he sounded really angry, saying like not like I can't remember the exact translation from Italian, but it was along the lines of, how are we doing this? We can't keep playing terrible games like this.
Yeah, I mean,
I
the,
think it
the two
was.
goals are baffling. It's like, how do you concede this? You have to have, as a
Yeah, it was
manager, as a unit, as players, zero like understanding of the game to, uh,
it was a
yeah,
great shot by Marcelli, and it was sort of unsavable. But just if you go back, watch that, everything from Liao uh, being fouled, and then the referee playing sort of a play on advantage, and then Emerson Real actually being fouled. Fair enough, I think it's a foul, but whatever. You just Chukwueze just sort of half jogging with his hands up in the air, and Theo and Emerson Real both up like about 30 meters away from the opposition goal when we've lost the ball, and it becomes like a 3-on-3, and then somehow we do claw back to have like a 6 against 3 or 4 there, and then they scored a bang goal. But we can't keep going on like this. And like you say, if you read between the lines, yes, 3 points, we scored 3 goals, a gifted goal. This in the long run, like we've seen since the start of the season, it's not going to hold out. And having these dips in performances and getting getting 3 points should be worrying, because we're, what is it? We're eighth in the league, seventh in the league, dropping points from those top 4 or 5 that are up on 26-ish points. We're losing out on goal difference in the Champions League. It's meh.
Yeah.
Worrying times.
Yeah. Worrying times also for the, yeah, you're right. I was thinking the same for the future and for what comes, because if top four looks very, very unlikely to me now, I don't see how Napoli, Atalanta, or Inter could possibly finish below us. And then you would have to hope that Fiorentina slows down, which, okay, maybe I can believe. Lazio slows down, which
Lazio, yeah.
less likely, but okay, maybe I can believe. And Juve slow down. And
Juve is
we,
slowing down, even though they've had quite a lot of injuries, and Vlahovic has not been the player. Imagine if he, I think we've been saying this for weeks now, or I've been saying it for weeks, but imagine Vlahovic just turns it on, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
comes back to
yeah.
the 70 million euro striker that he is,
Yeah.
or
So all that
that
needs to
he's
happen, and we
supposed to
need
be.
to start, winning big games and winning easy games, which you've done really neither of. Yeah. So if that doesn't happen, obviously, then the Champions League, even the Champions League, even if we do well and go through, we're not winning the fucking Champions League. Let's be real. So it's like, yeah, where do you go this summer? The Americans have great financial reports, but they don't seem to translate it into spending that back into the team. What kind of players can you attract? What kind of players can you keep? Yeah, it's
It goes
it's
it
it's
goes it
concerning.
goes back to that Cardinale interview that he gave, I think, during the summer, where he said it would be boring if Milan, or if a team wins the league every year in, year out.
Yeah, yeah,
You just can't be
mindless.
saying, and that
I
that
I
shows
hate all of
the
that.
mentality. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways, maybe we should move on to I guess well, not predictions necessarily, but what we think is going to happen in the Empoli game that is tomorrow at 6 o'clock Central European time.
yeah. Tomorrow is an interesting one.
Which,
Empoli's been doing well. They have a lot of former Milan players, which is always a concern for me because they always seem, karma loves absolutely biting us. They have maybe arguably the best goalkeeper this season in terms of performance, not necessarily a player, in Davis Vasquez, another Maldini find that was binned too early, apparently. He's been doing very well in a team that concedes obviously a lot of goals.
yeah,
Lorenzo Colombo and Pellegrini, who has found form again. Well, I don't know. He's always been decent. He just never played a lot because he picks up injuries left and right. Pellegrini has already
yeah.
spoken about wanting to punish us, which is great.
They have DeCilio, who seems to be out injured. They seem to have a lot of
I
injuries,
forgot
actually,
about
now that I
that. Good
look at it.
point.
And then they also have a Swiss player, Nicolas Haas, which I played against in, I think it was when I was 10 years old, and we lost against his team 24-2 we lost, and he scored about 20 of them.
Yeah, this is always a good reminder to think that it's like, oh, whatever, random sub for Empoli. No, they're several different levels away from your best option. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, they've been on actually not too bad streaks in terms of result. They got 3 draws, which sometimes can be bad, but it's a team that obviously is fighting to stay up
Mhm.
against Udinese, Lecce, and no, actually that's 2 draws and then 1 against Como. Yes, our predicted lineup, I think, from what obviously different rumors so far. Magnani is for sure going to be in there. Emerson and Calabria probably is going to be a coin toss. I would guess Emerson because I can't stand watching Emerson. I really
Yeah.
can't. He can't do anything going forward. He can't dribble past anyone or put in a decent cross. He just always passes backwards. And defensively, just not good. I don't understand why we threw money away from that. That deal is gonna come up in 20 years, and there's some sort of shitty deals between the 2 American owners. I don't understand. It looks like Chao and Gabbia, as you said.
Mhm.
The center back roulette continues, and Teo. Hopefully, we see a Teo that actually is bothered to run. For Fana Reinders, because we can't afford not to, as Fonseca himself keeps saying. Fofana is 1 yellow card away from suspension, which would be pretty bad because we have Atalanta next. Fonseca
Yeah.
spoke about that today and said that he trusts him not to get a yellow, but he can't afford to not play him. And then we'll see. It looks like obviously Morata will play after not playing in the Champions League. Pulisic, unless he's sick again, will for sure start with Leao. And then it looks like Loftus-Cheek, but remains to be seen. If it is Loftus-Cheek, I do surely hope that we go more to a 4-3-3. But we see. Is that the ideal lineup for you?
Yeah, it's like you said, a coin flip, coin toss for the right back position. Neither is ideal. So it's at this point, I feel like we should just sort of accept that it's throughout the season it's going to be terrible. Whether it's Calabria, whether it's Emerson Royale. Worrying that Fofana is one yellow card away, but I think I kind of agree with Fonseca that he uh, can't afford to not play him. That's the only really it's a mostly consistent thing that's been working for us is that central midfield pairing. Um, and the front three or the front four, pretty standard. I've sort of lost expectations now. I'm happy that Fonseca's pulled his head out of his ass and starting Leao constantly. That's all I'm happy for. And Pulisic obviously contributing week in week out. Yeah.
Yeah, the two of them cannot play. Yeah, I don't know. Would you? For part of me, it's like, hey, maybe we do play with Chukwueze and put. But when we play Leao, Pulisic, Chukwueze behind the striker, we concede so much more. Uh,
Hmm.
and two, I think Pulisic does better on the right than he does down the middle. Also because he touches more balls. Um, but then it's like, okay, then you play Loftus-Cheek, and I'm like, but then it's also player less. I don't know. There's no good option. I'd honestly rather Musa. I'd rather Musa in a 4-3. At least the man runs. At least the man goes for tackles. Is he perfect? Is he polished? No. But I'd rather have him constantly. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll get that. Even though he's getting a little bit more use. The performance, what kind of performance do you expect? You really don't know with this Milan. I feel like we see three completely different teams
Yeah.
based on each game. I don't know if we'll be bothered to run and do well or
I
not.
can't. I can't tell you what I really can't tell you what we're expecting. I think we could just expect that Liao will hopefully uh, turn on the heat and perform as he does. Pulisic continues his form, and that we just don't mess up at the back like we did against or the corner against Slovan Bratislava. That's sort of the three hopes that we're hanging on to, and yeah, really can't
Yeah.
tell you. I'm sorry. I know this is supposed to elaborate, but like you said, it's so up and down. We do well against Inter. We do well against Real Madrid. We draw against Cagliari, being up twice. So anything can happen.
Yes. Then, I mean, you want to take a dart shot and give me a prediction for the score?
Yes, let me go. Let's be optimistic. Optimistic Oski, as everyone always calls me. 2-1 Milan. Leao Pulisic. Boom.
Safe bet to the scores. Um, let's will Alvaro Morata to get back on the score sheet, and I'll say 3-1, double Pulisic and Morata, and we'll see how it goes. Do you
Ooh.
think either Colombo or Pellegrini scores against us and celebrates? Pellegrini looks like sounds like he wants to he will celebrate. He also
It's
had a
gonna be
very
a
minor for us. Colombo wouldn't, I think.
it's gonna be a Colombo penalty, probably the one goal scorer, and it's gonna be some dodgy handball by Chow.
Honestly, that sounds very realistic.
Yeah.
Um, then yeah, I think we could leave it at that. We play again. Do we play midweek? Is there Champions League again?
No, we play against Sassuolo on the third, so I think that's Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, I thought our next
Yes.
game was. Isn't it Atalanta?
It's we've got Coppa Italia round of 16
It's
on the
Coppa
third.
Italia also as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that will be bad,
Yeah, no,
but at least we
I
get some
thought
rotation.
I
Maybe we see some faces that we haven't seen in a while.
I thought we'd be rid of Sassuolo and their ugly green and black striped t-shirt or jerseys, but no, alas, we are here in
Yeah,
the round of 16
and
Coppa
I'm
Italia
sure
against
they'll
them. At
enjoy
least we're at
humiliating
home.
us and kicking us out of Coppa Italia. But at least we'll probably see some rotation. I would imagine maybe we see some, I don't know, some new faces. Sometimes these games can up with that.
Yeah.
Maybe
Up,
Camarda start or something. Jimenez.
Berardi scores 5 goals.
Honestly, very likely, yes. Getting
Yeah.
Fonseca sacked, he loves getting our manager sacked, so maybe that's the way to do it. All right. Well, then I'll see you tomorrow. We're actually watching this game together, which is exciting. And we'll
Yes, very
pod,
excited for that.
I don't know, some point after this game and vent some more of our frustrations.
Yeah, pleasure as always, even though a bit of a dire outlook in the last 2 games, but 4 points is 4 points.
True,
We
very
go
true.
again. Forza Milan, Forza
Forza
Milan.
Milan.